but just how easy is it to spend your money on prostitution in Belfast? And does anyone involved actually get any satisfaction from being part of what can be a very shady deal? Let me say hello to a lady called Jackie Robb, who's on the line. Jackie, good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
Jackie, you work closely with prostitutes. You're part of a ministry that goes out to meet the prostitutes in Belfast. First of all, Jackie, in relation to the streets of Belfast, how easy is it for a customer to find a prostitute?
It's very easy. The girls obviously want to be found, so they're not really hiding away too much.
So if someone goes along in a car to certain areas of Belfast, they will find girls on the street, or do they have to make some sort of appointment to go to a building?
No, they can be found on the streets, and then arrangements are made after that.
And we're not only talking about finding girls on the streets.
No, there's many young men on the streets as well, providing services of prostitution. That would mainly be in the gay community in Belfast.
And how much of a demand is there for prostitution in Belfast?
Well, any nights that we're in, the streets are certainly busy, and the girls are never short of customers.
And is there one particular type of male who is looking for customers, or looking for business?
No, I mean the clients range, any type of male that's out there, the clients range right across the board.
These girls, what age do they tend to be?
Well, I think the youngest prostitute that I've come across on the streets of Belfast was 16 years old, and that was a young guy. But I think the oldest one that I've probably spoken to was a lady in her late 50s. But I've been told that there's older prostitutes out there.
Would the majority of the women that we're talking about be women closer to 20 or women closer to 50?
Probably closer to between 20 and 30.
And who runs them? Who organises it?
Well, the majority of girls would be in just working for themselves. Very few of them would have pimps. Although I'm just thinking of one young girl that we've got to know recently, and she would be in her early 20s, and her boyfriend stands up the street with a tin of beer in his hand, and she has said to us, I'm not allowed to go home until I get 2 punters. And so she's basically feeding his drug habit by prostituting herself while he stands up the street and watches, which is sad. But few of the girls have had pimps, but the majority of them are there due to financial needs, and they're just working for themselves.
And you obviously see a significant number of horror stories, or come across a significant number of horror stories when you are out and about. Is there anyone on the street who is doing it because they want to do it, because they find it lucrative?
A few of the girls have said, I remember one girl saying to me that she went in the very first night to prostitute because she needed the money to buy nappies for her baby. And then she said she just got hooked. She said it was easy money. And 14 years down the line, sadly, her children have now been taken into care because of her prostitution. And as you can imagine, the pain that would cause for any woman to lose their child. And she has now turned to alcohol and drugs and to ease her pain. And obviously then she needs to prostitute more to feed those habits.
Yeah, you paint the real picture of what it's like. Sometimes it's portrayed in the media in a much more glamorous way than the way that you're describing it, Jackie, and you're right there with the Hope Ministries dealing with the people who very, very often are the victims in all of this. Finally, Jackie, because people are asking on the text, can you put a number on the number of prostitutes that are working in Belfast?
Frank, the sad thing is, I've been doing this 20 months, and every week I go in, there's a new girl on the streets. There's always a new face that we haven't seen before, and I think just probably because of the current financial situation in the country, girls, who would never maybe have considered this before, and guys are now being forced onto the streets because of poverty. And so you couldn't put a number on it because it's continuing to grow, and obviously there always seems to be a demand for it, and where there's a demand, there always seems to be a supply.
Well, it's a sad reflection on society. Jackie, continued success with the work that you're doing with the Hope Ministries. Thanks for speaking to us this morning. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Frank.